as we go through this Advent season, we obviously have the lights, the candles, if you will. And earlier, what we've already lit is the first candle was hope and faith, the second candle was peace, and today is love. And love isn't necessarily something that we wait for at Christmas, it's actually something that we can practice. And in unity, we actually understand love as a divine quality that's already planted within us. So in other words, it's already there, waiting for us to actually activate it and to use it, if you will. And it's not something that we earn, it's not something that we necessarily chase, but something that we allow to flow through us. Because remember, what are we? We are the arms, the eyes, the ears. We speak as the divine and we let that flow through us. And we can do the same thing with love, especially at this time of year. So this candle, this love candle, if you will, reminds us that love shows up in such simple and human ways. It shows up in patience, it shows up in kindness, it shows up in forgiveness, in listening, in choosing all these things, even when it may not be easy to do so. Love is what connects us. And when you get down to it, when you're having an experience of love, you automatically feel connected to whatever it is that's around you. I don't care if it's nature, I don't care if it's another person, I don't care if it's your dog. You feel this natural connection when love is a thing that's flowing through you. And again, that's why it makes this time of year so wonderful. So as we light this candle, we remember that the Christ light is born through love, expressed as compassion, understanding, and unity. And when we choose love, we become the light that we've been waiting for. And there's no greater expression than to be love. And we're completely have that within ourselves to be able to do that, which is exactly what the message that Jesus had and so many others had as well. And so, last week I talked about this idea, this process in Advent is this process of going through and waiting for the birth of Jesus. And I mentioned that earlier this morning, this idea that we're waiting for this birth of the Christ within us to be born, if you will. In my opinion, it's not really born. It's really you just all of a sudden realizing, oh, I got this thing inside of me, and I can start paying attention to it, right? And so this process, basically, from a metaphysical standpoint, is this idea of stepping into that. Like you really can start to do that. And again, like I said last week, nobody's waiting. So in other words, this is something that you can literally tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to start doing this. And when you start to do that, the universe, I promise you, is going to respond to you. It can't help respond to you because of who and what you are. So this idea of stepping into the light, your own inner light, is you finally going like, yep, it's time. It's time for me to start doing this. And when we think about this idea of light, this thought like light, why is it so important? What is the big deal about light? Well, I'm going to show you what it's like, and I'm going to give you the experience of that by turning off all of the lights. So I just want you to imagine, this is what it's like without any lights. No lights. And then go ahead and turn them on. So what does the light do? Well, when you think about it, metaphysically what it does is it illumines you. It lights you up. It helps you see where you can't see. That's what light does. It fills you. It sustains you. This is the gift that the inner light brings. And that brings us to our talk today, which is all about this idea of actually receiving it. Because it's not just a giving of the light, it's actually receiving it as well. And now, for those of you that weren't here last week, I spoke about that. And I also spoke about this idea that this time of year is so amazing because you're able to choose it because it's easier. It's kind of like a layup. Like if there was a spiritual layup, this time of the year would be a great time to do the spiritual layup. Why? Because love's so prevalent. It's there, especially if you're tuned into it. And by the way, this process that we're going through this time of the year isn't just for this time of the year. I talk about it a lot at this time of the year because of the birth of Jesus, of course. But it's not the only time of the year you can do this. You can do this all year round. In fact, my suggestion is you'll want to, trust me, when you have this experience, you're going to want to do it all year round. Why? Because it becomes addictive. The idea of love flowing through you, the idea of you being love, the idea of you giving love, and bringing love into every single situation in your life, whether it's with friends, whether it's family, whether you read a story that makes you sad, you can provide light. You can provide light. You can provide light. You can provide light. Why? Because that's who you are. You're light. That's who you are. And so we go through this. And of course, Jesus talked about light a ton in the Bible, right? I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but I will have the light of life. So when we talk about this metaphysically, of course, Jesus represents the indwelling Christ, your I am, the piece of the divine that's inside of each and every one of you. That's who Jesus represents. And that is inside of all of us, just like it was inside of Jesus. But no, we were told, no, there's just one. There was just one. And to me, that's one of the greatest and saddest stories that's been told throughout the years and years and years in history, is that there was only one. That was not the original message. I'm telling you that right now. That is not what he was saying at all. What he was saying is, follow me. In other words, follow your own indwelling Christ. Follow it. That's what Jesus was talking about, right? And so, whoever follows their own inner light will never walk in darkness, right? But will have light. Why? Because Jesus knew that if you follow it, you will become illumined, just like he did. That's why they called him the light of the world. You will glow. Your light will shine. I promise you, it will. He goes on to say in John, believe in the light while you have the light, so that you may become children of the light. He's constantly talking about light. There's a message there, and he's not just talking about this random thing. He is talking about your divinity. He's talking about the thing that's inside of you. He's talking about what's going to happen when all of a sudden you decide, okay, I think I'm going to start paying attention to this thing inside of me. He understood that you were going to start to glow, so he kept using this reference, the light, the light, the light. Notice he doesn't say create the light. He says believe in the light, receive it, let it do its thing. And that's one of the most powerful things you can understand. This isn't a mental game that you're doing with your ego. Your ego is checked out, and you're letting the light run through you and have its way with you. And when you can allow that to happen without getting your big fat head in the way, and that's me talking to me, by the way, because I occasionally get my big fat head in the way. Anybody else have that problem? Once or twice. When we can get our ego out of the way, then all of a sudden we can just allow that energy to flow through us. And it kind of sounds like this: use me, God. Use me. However you feel, whatever you think needs to be done, however I can serve you, use me. At the highest level that I can serve, use me. Right? And again, he goes on to say in the book of Matthew, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. And why does Jesus use the idea or the thought of your eye? Well, think about it. What does your eye do? Does it not focus? It focuses, right? It focuses. And Jesus is saying your focus determines your inner illumination. So we can live our entire lives, and certainly we see this all the time, where there is absolutely no focus on the inner light, right? How many of you lived a lot of your life without focusing on your own inner light? Raise your hands. Everybody raise your hands. Come on. Yes, that's part of the human experience. And that there's no shame, blame, guilt, or judgment there, folks. We don't do that here. There's no need to do that. But yet there is an acknowledgement that, yeah, maybe there wasn't a lot of focus on it. But then maybe the idea or the thought this Christmas season is to make that a priority for yourself, to focus on your own inner light and let that light come alive. Let it burn in a good way, in a healthy way. Let it raise your consciousness and watch the way the world will respond to you. Because when you start playing this little game and you start to have these experiences, what I'm going to tell you is it's going to blow your mind the way that the divine starts showing up. in so many different ways, in ways that you can shine, and whether it was so fun. Yesterday I was actually at the gym, and I'm just, in my own little world, and I was on a treadmill, but the treadmill was facing the track, and I'm just, again, in my own little world, and all of a sudden I see these three little kids, and the three little kids come on, and they're just standing right in front of me. I mean, they're literally right there. And I'm running on a track, and they're giggling and they're having the greatest of time, right? And then all of a sudden, they made this little game where they would wait for somebody to get about halfway around the track, and then they would bolt. And I mean, then they wanted to see if they could beat them back. And at first, I'm in my own little world. But then all of a sudden, I swear to God, I got into it, man. And I'm watching these little kids and they're waiting. They're like, are they there yet? And man, the anticipation, the joy, that pure happiness of being such a pure, innocent child with nothing else to worry about, nothing else to think about, just watching them be children touched me at such a deep level. It made me just smile. I mean, I had a grin that was going from ear to ear for hours after that, just seeing these beautiful little children. And then I thought to myself, what a gift. What a beautiful gift. And I would honestly say that in the past, I would have missed that. How many times, I don't know if I ever want to know, when it's all said and done, I don't know if I ever want to go and have God go, well, did you see where you missed this? Did you see where you missed this? Did you see where you missed this? I don't know if I want to see that. But yesterday, the good news was I caught it. And I'm so happy about that. And so all of these different scriptures, all of them refer to this idea of being filled with light and glowing. Light and glowing. Light and glowing. Because what Jesus knew and what Jesus taught was that everything you ever needed was actually not outside of yourself, ever outside of yourself. What you need is inside of yourself. And if you focus on it, what Jesus knew is it would grow. And he also knew that in order for it to grow, at first, there was this idea of receiving it, right? And doesn't it just sound easy? Doesn't that just sound like, oh, okay, cool, Mike, you got me all fired up now. I'm just going to go start receiving it, right? Just let it in. How many people struggle sometimes with that? And everybody's hand should be up. We all do. Let me just say this, you're not alone, by the way. You're not. Because at times it can be really, really difficult. I know for myself, I look back and I think, man, when I was struggling, and I could sit there and spew all this stuff all day long, but when I was really struggling, man, was it hard. It was just hard, And over the years, what I have found is at times I'm really good at receiving it yet, and other times not so much. And as I start to process that, and I think, well, why is that? Why does it happen for me like that? Why can it be so difficult at times to receive the light? And the first thing, I swear it's going to sound funny, is that I go back to the scene in this movie, and I'm going to set up the movie for just a minute, and that is, so some of you are going to see this and you're going to start laughing. And what I'm going to tell you is that for those of you that have never seen this movie, and again, I'm dating myself here, you're going to see a couple of guys, and what these couple of guys in this movie is they've been invited to a party where their musical heroes are going to be at. And, well, I'm just going to go ahead and show it and let you see it.
We got to get going. No. Stick around. Hang out with us. Cool. Yeah, we'll stay and hang around with you. With Alice Cooper. We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not.
So, when I really stop and think about this thought or this idea, what I've noticed is, like them in the movie, there is a part of me that in my life, there's been times when I felt like that I just haven't been worthy because of, you name it. I mean, because something I did, something I said, something I didn't say, or whatever, and I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to be receiving the love of God. After all, who am I? And I think the difference is is that these days I don't really, well, I answer the question, but my answer to that question has completely changed to what it used to be. Who am I used to be? Well, I'm just Mike. And what do I matter? It's just little old me. And what difference do I make? And who cares about me? Right? And now all of a sudden I realize, how insulting is that to God for me to say that? I want you to think about that for just a minute. How insulting is it to God? He made you. She made you in her image and likeness. That's what she did. So, as the saying goes, God didn't make junk. So, how dare you sit there and call yourself anything less than divine? And yet we do it all the time. And why do we do it? Well, because of the garbage that's been put in our head since the time we were kids. And then what I would say is generationally and generationally and generationally, this stuff has been pounded down our throats so much that the thought or the idea of actually doing it differently, of actually accepting your divinity, of actually claiming your divinity, of actually living your divinity is something that is like a complete foreign language. It's like, what are you talking about? I don't even understand it. And thank God there was Jesus to remind us. And thank God there was others. But thank God the Fillmores caught on to this and reminded us, hey, don't ever forget who and what you are. Ever. Don't ever forget that. You are a divine child of God. You are. And so that's one of the reasons I have found that this thing can be a struggle, is because I don't feel like at times that I've been worthy to receive the love of God. And one of the other things I thought about in terms of that is that I used to think that there needed to be a moment. It was almost like, because I did believe in separation, I did believe that this, old man up in the sky, and I did believe that there was a list of 10 things that I needed to do, and I did believe if I didn't follow those 10 things, then woe is me, and all of those things. But I can tell you the thing that has changed for me now is what I realize is that God is always here. There is never an absence of God, ever. So in other words, it's not a matter of if God is here, God's always here. Always. So it's not a matter of, well, I need to say a prayer, or I need to do a meditation, or I need to do this, I need to do that in order for God to show up. It's like, I'm serious. I'm not kidding you when I tell you. I think God's sitting up there and just laughing when we say something like that, or when we say we're less than, or we say all the things that we tell ourselves. And so therefore, it's like this idea that, no, it's got nothing to do with God being there or not being there. That God is not the issue in this equation. Guess who the issue is in the equation? Yeah. And why is that? This is why. Right here. This is why. Because our ego is trying to tell us in so many ways that I can't even possibly list them all, of why that isn't true. Do you get that? Do you get that your ego is constantly trying to tell you why you're less than, why you're not worthy of, why you shouldn't receive it, and everything else like that? That message is never, ever, ever, ever coming from God. Ever. That's not the way it works. It's not. So I don't care where that's coming from in your reality, but what I'm telling you, it's not coming from God. Ever. Why? Because He loves you. She loves you. Because that's where you came from. And God made you in God's image and likeness. That's why. So all there is basically massive love for you all the time. And then it's a matter of, well, can I receive it? Right? The other thing that I notice is when I'm struggling receiving it, and I talked about this a little bit last time, was that it's probably because I'm paying attention to anything else but my own inner light, especially this time of year, right? So we talked about this before with all the comings and the goings, all the parties, all the gifts, all the family and everything else. And if we're not careful in all of that, we get lost. How many people are feeling that about right now? Maybe one or two, maybe. And we get lost in it. And we lose the reason, honestly, the true reason for the season. And instead of having, to me, this most sacred time, when you can easily connect into it and experience that you can have, it gets lost in all the hustle, the bustle of the season. So it made me think about when Leah and I first got together. I'll never forget, it was such to me, a magical moment. It was on a Christmas Eve, and we were sitting around. We just started dating. It's like, well, what are we going to do? Like, let's go create some traditions, right? And so we said, well, let's go have a nice dinner. So we went and had a nice dinner. And then we're like, well, we got to have hot chocolate because, duh, you got to have hot chocolate. So we went to the store and we got these really cool little mugs and this amazing hot chocolate. And we made a cup of hot chocolate. And then it's like, well, what else are we going to do? And it's like, well, I don't know. Do you want to go to a Christmas Eve service? Yeah, let's go to a Christmas Eve service. And so we went to the Christmas Eve service with our little hot chocolate in our hands. And we sat there and we went to the service, and it was, of course, awesome. And we loved that. And it's like, well, I don't know. What do you want to do now? And this is on, obviously, Christmas Eve. And it's like, oh, my God, the luminaries in East GR. Let's go see the luminaries in East. And it's like, okay, cool. And when we came out of the church, actually what happened was it was snowing. And it was pretty intense. It was coming down pretty good. And so we drive over to East Grand Rapids, and we're driving through this, and there's not a lot of people. And it's just us. And I mean, the snow is coming down, and the luminaries are lit. And to me, it was absolutely it. Like, I don't know if it could get any more it than that moment. It was beautiful. We loved it. It was incredible. Now, fast forward 2 years later, guess what we got? Well, we got family. We've got married. We have obligations. We have expectations to deal with, right? At least that's what we think. And so over the course of 2 days, we literally went from Grand Rapids, we drove to Wixom, which is where my sister lives in, which is just outside of Detroit. So we get up, we go drive there on a cold winter day. We hang out and do the whole family thing. So we have a meal, and then we open presents and everything else like that. And then we got to drive down to Monroe, about another hour and a half drive from where we were. We get down to Monroe. Now it's 7 or 8 o'clock, and now we've got a whole new set of family and everything else to deal with. And it's not that you don't love your family. We do love our family. But still, it's like tiring. So then we spent the night down in Monroe, and then we get up and we go through Christmas breakfast, and now we're going to go through Christmas presents and everything else like that. But there was something in my mind where it's like, we got to get back to the luminaries. We got to get back to the luminaries, right? So there was this energy thing about having that had to happen, right? And so I'm like, yeah, we can open presents, we can come do all that stuff, but man, we gotta do the luminaries. And so there was this pressure that I put on myself and on Leah, like, we gotta make this happen, And so we're driving from Monroe back to Grand Rapids, about a 2.5-hour drive. And the whole time I'm just like, oh my God, I hope we make it. I hope we make it. I hope we make it. And we did. But guess what state of mind we're in when we both get there? Like, it ain't good, folks. It's not. On top of which, it's raining. So guess how many of the luminaries are lit? Pretty much none. And there's hardly anybody out there. And so it's like we're driving around, and I'm like, where is it? What happened? This amazing experience we had our first time together, and now what is going on here? And then it's like, oh, I get it. And then I thought about it, and it made me realize that the reason the first Christmas was so special was because we were focused on all the right things. And we kept it simple and easy. And we didn't complicate it. And we gave ourselves space to enjoy that moment, not with all the other stuff, right? And the drive and the hot chocolate and everything else like that. So it was magical, but this time it wasn't. And we were focused on too many things that were going on. So we realized, it's not about the parties. It's not about the presents. It's not about the gifts. It's not about the travel. It was way easier than that. It really came down to love. It was about love. It was about the love that I had for my wife. It was about the love that I had for my life. It was about the love that I had for God and for Jesus. I really do love all that stuff. I don't just sit up here and talk about it. I really do love that. And don't forget the love for the hot chocolate, because we all know that if we don't have hot chocolate, what's the whole point of the whole thing, right? And it's funny, but you will see every single time on Christmas Eve when I'm up here, if you ask, you will see it. I've got a mug back here full of hot chocolate every single year, because that's what I do. Anyways, so just the idea of focusing on that, but I reminded myself how important these simple things are. And as I started to focus on those simple things, that started to grow inside of me. In other words, my light started to grow. And it started to grow and grow until it kind of took on a life of its own. And that's when all of a sudden, if you really practice this, what you're going to start to notice is this thing will start to grow throughout the season, and it'll grow, and it'll get stronger. And to the point to where it's like there's nothing that I can look at, that the light of God isn't shining through my eyes, and I can just feel this total acknowledgement of the divine in every single thing that I see, every single experience I have. And you become so filled with the light of God, it just is oozing out of you. And it's so beautiful. And what I'm telling you is that this gift is here for you. You can receive this. And that's when everything really, what it boiled down to was that receiving the light is actually a conscious act that I can do over and over again to remind myself of all of those things in my life that I cherish. And when I focus on those things, then that starts to grow, and then I'm able to share it and give it. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about being the light next week, because actually and honestly, that is the space that you want to be in. When you can become the light and you can share that and give it to people, it is absolutely what you're wired to do. And when you finally understand that and you start doing it and you start stepping into that space of being the light, then all of a sudden you're connected to why you came down here in the first place. You are here to do that. That is in your DNA. You are part of the divine. This is what the divine does. The divine shines. The divine just wants to give light. That's why the light this time of year is so incredible. And so my hope and prayer is that you're able to remember that the light is what the season is really all about. And the more you do that, in my mind, the more the divine will show up. And what happens is, it's like, here's what it literally feels like. It feels like God is coming up to me and tapping me on the shoulder and say, hey, check this out. Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you check this out? Hey. And like all of a sudden, you start getting all these messages and you're starting to pay attention. Next thing you know, you got these kids that are playing this incredible game in front of you that are 5 feet away. I had my sister send me this video, and it's so unfair when people do this to me. They send me the videos and they say, I dare you not to cry. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm finishing my talk. What are you doing? And then all of a sudden I watch this video, and sure enough, I'm bawling my eyes out. Why? Because it's a beautiful scene where this thing happens, and well, you know the videos. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're pretty incredible. But this thing becomes unstoppable because you become the light. That's who you wind up becoming. In all of these messages, you find these different things. And I had this experience a couple of days ago. It was so fun, and I love this, but I'm hanging out, and you know, it can be busy, and occasionally I get caught up in the busyness, just like everybody else does. But all of a sudden I walk into my office, and and all of a sudden I look up, and there's a note from my wife. Babe, it's Christmas. She knows how important Christmas is to me. And this note to me was the reminder, and will be the reminder. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'm ever going to take this note down off my glass, because I look out of a window. My desk is looking out of a window. I don't think I'm ever taking it off. Why? Because every time I look at that note, I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. It's like this perpetual reminder. And it also reminds me, like, Mike, you know what you need to do to have this experience. You know how to have this experience. What do? Oh, that's right. I just focus on the things that I love, especially about this time of year. I don't know about you, but for me, the things that really get me in this Christmas spirit, I've got a handful of things that I do because I love it so much, because Christmas means everything to me. And for me, it comes down to a couple of things. So the first thing is, well, I want to sit there and I want to get the beautiful decorations. By the way, thank you for Karen and Bill and anybody else that set up our decorations. Thank you for doing that. But like, I want to see the decorations. I love the decorations. They don't have to be crazy, but I want some decorations around me, right? And then I want the music, man. I've got my Christmas song list, and it is awesome. And I've got heavy stuff, I got light stuff, I got old stuff, I got new stuff, I got rap, I've got the whole thing. I got all of it. And man, I'm playing Christmas music 24/7. I love Christmas music. I love it, right? And then it's this idea of putting together my list. Well, what do I want? I want this. So I get my list out. Okay, I think I might want a thing or two. Here you go. But then, oh, by far, this is the thing that cements it for me. Shopping. And I know for some people are like, oh my God, you like to shop? I love it. I love it. You know why I love it? Because often I don't have a clue what I'm going to get somebody. But here's what I know. I'm really good at just feeling into and finding the perfect Christmas gift, the perfect one. And when I find it, I do light up like a Christmas tree. It's like, oh my God, this is so perfect that I can't wait to share it. So I get all fired up about that. The other thing that I just love is I love it. Wrapping the presents is a whole nother thing. So all of these things are happening with me. Like it keeps going up a notch, a notch, a notch, a notch, a notch. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I get pretty fired up about Christmas. I love it. Why? Because I get to do the things and spend the time with the people I love about, I care about, that means so much to me. And I also get to experience truly what I think the message of the Christmas season is, which is the love of God. And when I can combine those two things, man, does it get much better than that? For me, I don't know if it does. I really don't. The love I have for my friends and my family and for my life and everything else that's going on, the love I have for God, the coming or the birth of Jesus, I mean, man, it's just amazing. And so, what I was thinking about this morning would be fun is to do a little bit of a meditation that we could go through and have us experience just a little taste of that.